This is Ron with Stay Sharp Guides again. If you spend any time on my channel, you know I'm all about broadheads and blades and sharpness. And I'd recently got some iron wheel single bevels that I evaluated. But this video is also going to be about sharp edges and iron wheel, but it's not going to be broadhead related. For this video, I'll be looking at a new purchase from Iron Will, which just came. This is a Iron Will K2 knife. So we are going to unbox and review. There's our knife. The bag says K2 Ultra Light Skinning Knife. I got it with the paracord option for the handle, which they include. It also includes their Kydex sheath. But let's look at what we get in here. Iron Will K2 knife. Alright, and so you don't think that anytime I do reviews, I'm paying full price. I'm not getting freebies just to say nice things about companies. That is my invoice shipped to me. That's what I paid. That was my order. There we go. So I don't contact them and say I'm going to buy it for a review, send me a good one. I just buy it. So you don't think that there's any sort of bias going on here. Like their broadheads, it comes in the nice wood box with the foam. There we have it, the K2 skinning knife. Made out of the same steel that their broadheads are made of, which I believe is A2, that they have their proprietary heat treating, and I believe that includes cryogenic treating. Their broadheads are amazing. The durability, the edges are fantastic. And also, if you know anything about this channel, you know we're going to run it through the sharpness tester, and we're going to look at it under the microscope. So we can see the edge, because like a broadhead, this is going to get used, this is going to get dulled. So we're going to want to look at that, but I wanted to look at the sheath. Nice, tight, positive fit. It won't fall out. Won't come out either. That's a tight fit. I'm guessing over time those detents get shaved off inside the Kydex and make it a little easier to come out. Yeah, I can see a little bit shaved off in there already. Not a worry, you got to break everything in. So let's look at it under the microscope to get a feel for what the edge looks like a broadhead. We'll look at it under 1600 power to see what the factory edge is, and after that we will look at it on the sharpness meter, so stay tuned. So like their broadheads, the knife edge looks pretty darn fantastic under the microscope, but the proof is always in the pudding. So let's see what the sharpness meter says that the factory edge is all about. Wow. 172. That is a very good edge. Just how am I going to keep this blade sharp? For me, the best option is my version C guide. I would mount the blade just like that so that these 2 points are right across from each other in regards to the roller on the C guide. I have 5 positions. I would put it in this hole on both sides, and if I lay a ceramic crock stick on there, you will see that I am pretty close to the factory edge. Now, I'm a little bit steeper, which I like. I could match it exactly if I pulled the blade out of the guide a little bit. I don't want to match the factory edge. I don't want to redress the entire edge. I only want to sharpen the leading cutting edge on this. So here I'm using the ceramic crock stick. When I get done with one side, when I get a burr, I'd flip it over and do the other side all the way around. So as you can see, I'm pretty close to the factory edge. Now, the C guide is just that by itself. The C guide in the form of a kit comes with a double cut Swiss file. I contend you'd really have to screw up this blade in order to have the need for a file. It comes with the ceramic crock stick you just saw me using, a wooden dowel, and that can be paired with buffing compound for the final steps. But what I like about it is I can wrap small lengths of wet dry sandpaper around it and create round files in any grit that I want. We carry 240, 400, 800, 1200, and 2500. This happens to be 2500 that I'll put on here. For the buffing compound, I would only use a pulling stroke. I would never try to cut into the wood. I fear that you would scrape off the buffing compound and you would cut the wooden dowel. But that is the process for sharpening this knife with the C guide from Stay Sharp. So I'll go through these steps. I'm only going to use 2500 on the dowel. I'm going to use the ceramic crock stick, a little bit of buffing compound. I'll sharpen it up and then we'll look at it under the microscope and we will put it on the sharpness tester. So I'll be right back. What I should have also mentioned is these diamond jewel sticks are great sharpening devices. Also, a square wooden dowel wrapped with sandpaper, especially since this is a convex edge. So if you had a square wooden dowel wrapped in sandpaper, that makes a great sharpening media as well. And then I took a permanent marker and I traced a line around here when I started sharpening so I could replace it in here. I probably scratch it in there with an awl at some point, so I always place it in the same spot. But I wanted to mention those other 2 methods of sharpening, the jewel stick and the square dowel. Alright, so the newly sharpened edge looks pretty good under the microscope. The lines that I've drawn on the blade just tell me where to place the guide. I've done it with other knives. I've actually put it in the guide and then scratched with a awl a line into the blade so I could always remember to put it back in the same spot. I may do that yet. But now that we've sharpened it up, let's look at if we had any effect, if we've made it any sharper. 114. Despite the sharpness meter, people still want to see shaving sharp, and I contend this is sharper than shaving sharp. Maybe they just want to see me cut myself, but let's give it a try. No pressure at all. So yes, certainly shaving sharp, but the sharpness meter told me that it was sharper than a razor blade, and I put razor blades through this machine. So we've got it a bit sharper, but more importantly, we have to maintain this edge, right? So I know I'll be able to bring it back to factory or better by sharpening it myself. And I didn't really remove anything. It was pretty darn sharp to begin with. Iron will always is top of the line when it comes to edges. But they're not going to keep sharpening it for me as it dulls. I own that. They sent the paracord to wrap around the handle, and I can get the instructions online on how to do that. But if this is a skinning knife, and I'm going to be using this with bloods and fluids and guts and all sorts of stuff, I don't know that I necessarily want that on there. That's going to absorb everything. And yeah, this adds a little bit of weight, but I think for a handle, maybe sacrilegious to do, but I'm thinking I'm just going to dip this bad boy in here twice in Plasti Dip. It's not going to add much weight at all. It's going to be a stickier grip, a little bit thicker grip to hold on to, and it's a grip that I'll be able to wash off, whereas I think this is going to get kind of stinky and gross over time. With Plasti Dip, I think I'll be, and even if this doesn't work out for me, I can just remove this and dip it again if it really gets bad. But I'm thinking that's maybe a better option. As I said, I think Plasti Dip is the better solution because I know this knife will corrode. If I put this on and then ever try to wash the knife, water is going to get trapped in this. That water is going to then be laying on the metal. This will corrode like crazy. So I don't like the paracord option. Others might, but I don't. But here goes. I put the sheath on so I knew not to dip deeper than the sheath. I don't think I even need to go that deep, actually. I'm going to have to tip this bad boy to get it as deep as I want. And I think I'm going to give it 2 applications. I'm going to let that drip off, and then I'm going to hit it again. I think I'm going to like that from a corrosion standpoint and a grip standpoint. Here's the knife after 4 dips. I did 4 and then let it sit overnight to see how it was, and to be honest with you, it really added nothing in thickness. It's no thicker than actually it's thinner than the Kydex case. So when you put this in the Kydex case, it's not going to add any thickness. It's going to add certainly less thickness than the paracord and won't cause corrosion underneath. It's a much stickier grip, but the blade itself is 1.1 ounces. With the paracord option, that takes it to 1.4. If you buy their CNC machine scales, it's 1.7 ounces. So let's see what our 4 dips did for us. 1.1 was the stock weight. We are 1.18, so we added 0.08 ounces, pretty much nothing, to the total weight of it. And I think this is going to be a grippier, less corrosion, less stinky, easy to clean after the fact when you get all sorts of goo on it. So there you have it. That is the Iron Will K2 Skinner knife. It is a outstanding piece of metal. They always do really good stuff with Iron Will. Their metal is always really great. I think this will hold an edge real well. I'll put it to the test, certainly. But knowing that the steel is treated the way it is, it's going to hold a really good edge. So there you go. The Iron Will K2 Skinner. Thanks for watching.